So I guess it all started with Henry because he was the woodworker. I had a background in business.
I decided I wanted to go to London and do furniture design, and that's where it all started. It was a prototyping course and design course. We had really good lecturers, and I spent 4 years in London studying and building prototypes, doing furniture and woodwork, and I also got a job working near King's Cross for a custom cabinet company, and I stayed with that company pretty much until, again, I went traveling and I met Sara. Yeah.
So Henry's working in his co-op, trying to find things to keep him busy every day, building anything he could build for anyone who would pay him. And he came up with an idea one day for a knife block, because we hated our knife block. Every time you grabbed a knife, it hit the upper cabinets, it was ugly. It was only like 2 years old and already looked beat up, but we loved to cook and we loved our knives. And so he came up with an idea, and he just kept looking. He goes, I cannot believe this does not exist. I just want like a magnetic, freestanding, rotating knife block. And a lot of times in grad school, they ask you to imagine you have a product. What's the target market? Who are you gonna sell it to? How are you gonna make it? So for 2 years, that was my imaginary product, was this knife block I'd been using that Henry designed. I was about to graduate, and in one of my classes we talked about crowdfunding. And it's a great opportunity to kind of test the product, to get pre-sales and just see if someone's interested. And one of my professors brought home a really good point that stuck with me that said, if you want to put something into the world, you don't need a business plan, you don't need a lot of writing, you just need a prototype, and you need to ask people if they want it. So I was like, wait a minute, I got a prototype. I can do this, there's no holding me back. So in August of 2015, I ran a Kickstarter campaign for the 360 knife block. And I thought, you know, if I graduate and it's not funded and nobody wants to buy this thing, then I'll just get a job. I just got a master's in business, everything's gonna be fine. If it gets funded, then maybe this can be my job, and then I don't have to polish my resume and go out into the world again. And so we were funded in 4 days. And it was pretty exciting. So we went about immediately, starting in September, trying to figure out how to actually produce and build the knife block.
Yeah, we had to produce, our first batch was 100.
Yeah.
Our goal was to produce 100 knife blocks. And there's a lot of components in the 360 knife block. And so I created jigs that went on the table saw. I created about 4 $100 routers, or I had 4 $100 routers that I laid up with different angles and set them up. And then I went to town milling solid wood and then cutting them on the panel saw and then shaping them on the table saw with these jigs on my fingers, like literally.
Well, I mean, each little piece is like a 2-inch by 3-inch piece. So he's got his little hands and he's
cutting each angle, you know, like, you know, almost like thousands of parts on this table saw that had to be completely precise to make all the angles work out. So I'm cutting all these parts and.
Oh man, yeah. And then we hand assemble them, which is still no other way to assemble it. You got to tape it, glue it, hand put in the magnets. We went to a trade show, our first ever show for the knife block. We'd never even done a craft fair, and we upped and took the knife block to Chicago. We went to the International Houseware Show, where we got on TV the first day. We got some great contacts, and the buyer for America's Test Kitchen stopped by. They were going to be testing knife blocks later that year. And then come October, Henry's still making cabinets. He's getting more and more comfortable with the CNC. We're hoping that we're gonna have a good Christmas with knife block sales. And thankfully, in October, the November-December 2016 issue of the Cooks Illustrated came out, and the knife block was the winner of their Universal Knife Block Test.